Every time, come Easter time, you always hear these things on TV. Well, did Jesus really die on the cross? Yes, He did. The Bible says He did. Okay? But death was the very last thing. What else came with the cross? The shame, the suffering, the persecution. And that's what Jesus is saying here. If you're going to be my disciple, then on a daily basis, there's going to be shame. There's going to be persecution. There's going to be suffering for you who want to follow me. We don't see that a lot in America, though. We live in a country where it's free to come into a place and worship. We don't have a lot of persecution. Not like they do in some of the third world countries. But when we are called upon to take up that cross once and for all, and to go after Jesus, we are not to back out. We are not to turn around or lay down our cross. We are to die on that cross, giving our all for His glory. You see, this phrase here has the idea of being willing to go all the way for Jesus. No holds barred. No turning back. Just a steady, humble walk that follows His footsteps and His path through this world. The last thing I want to show you is this. Those are the first two conditions. And by the way, the order is important. If you don't deny yourself first, then there's no way you're going to take up your cross. And then the third one here, follow me. That's the third condition. Jesus said, you've got to deny yourself first. You've got to take up your cross. And then the very last thing, after you've done those two, then you can follow me. So the disciple is called to live something out. The disciple is called to live something out. Here, what Jesus literally says is, let him follow me day by day. To be a disciple of Christ is to be continually following after Jesus. In other words, it is a way of life. It's not just part of life. You know, that's what a lot of us say. If you ask somebody, well, do you go to church? And they say, well, yeah. You know, in other words, what we're really saying is church is just a part of my life. In other words, I set a little bit of time aside each week out of my life to give it unto God and say, okay, God, here is a little part of my life. 1, maybe 2 hours a week. But that's not what Jesus says. Jesus says if you're going to be my disciple, it's not part of your life, it is a way of life. You're to follow me every day. It is to be a pattern for living. Well, let me make one more point and then I'll close. If a disciple is a follower, and that's what it is, a disciple is a follower of Christ, and we are disciples of Christ, it follows then that we are willing to be led. I hope I didn't confuse you there. But it follows then that we are willing to follow. Okay? I mean, that's what a follower does. A follower, if I say that I'm going to follow Christ, then I have to be willing to be led. We are willing to be led into places when we don't understand. Even places that are dark, scary, maybe painful or unpleasant. But we can do that, and we can follow because we are following the shepherd. Psalm 23, most of you know it, but really think about the words of this song. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for You are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The words of Jesus here in verse 24 can be paraphrased this way. If anyone wished to be counted as an adherent of mine, he must once and for all say farewell to self, decisively accept pain and shame and persecution for my sake and in my cause, and must then follow and keep on following me as my disciple.